So I've been using this bike to deliver fresh vegetables to the community center, and so right now it's fully loaded with various things like kale and parsley and chard, Swiss chard, and so all panniers are full. This is a similar load to what I would have if I were to go cycle camping in terms of weight, other than I would have a tent on the front rack and my sleeping bag on the rear rack on top. The bike handles really well, and I give this a big thumbs up. I think for cycle touring, if you were to use a 950 just like this, you would be pretty happy with it. So alright, so what I carried is, here's some chard, and this is more chard, and here's some kale, and these two large bags is parsley. Okay, back to this bike, because I don't know if the video worked, is as you ride fully loaded, the bike really settles down, and so that means when you're test riding a bike that's unloaded, it'll be more jittery, and you can't make any judgment calls on what your touring bike is going to be. The main thing you're going to look for is, the braze-ons for rack mounts, and the size of the bike, as well as the gearing and the overall condition. And as long as the frame is good, not cracked, you should be able to turn that bike into a good tour. And in another video, I'll cover my best method of installing racks, and I learned this technique from Joost Brandt. You're going to want to make changes to this bike. The main idea is to preserve what you have without putting a lot of money into it. But there's some things you're going to want to add, and do this in order of priority, not just because you want to do it. Tires aren't recyclable, so I tend to want to use tires up, and then once I do, then I'll put on a set of Schweiber Marathons, and those seem to work pretty well in both on the road and on dirt. Another thing is, a second water bottle cage helps, but on the handlebars, I like to use these dual density ergonomic handlebar grips, and I find these to be really good. Likewise, you probably want to put on a GPS or a cell phone mount, and that's no problem at all. If you find that the handlebars are too low, then it's worthwhile to put on, instead of changing the stem, put on a riser bar. And a riser bar greater than 40, maybe around 50 millimeters, I think is pretty good. You don't want to go too low, because there's a reason why you want a riser bar, and so putting on a low bar doesn't solve that. You can put on a 40 and then just drop the stem, and if that's the case. But be aware, when you put on a riser bar, then that restricts the amount of movement of where you can adjust your brake levers or shifters as well. For your panniers, you can use almost any pannier, not that they're going to fit, but you can always buy an aftermarket rack mount for them, and RKL sells a terrific pair that are cam locks, and I have that on my touring setup. Likewise, you can go on to AliExpress.com and look for aftermarket rack mounts systems there, and they have those that are fairly inexpensive, and they're adjustable. That's what's nice about the newer ones, is you can move the clamps around to fit your rack. And so if you look at the front of the Cannondale, those are just hooks, and so they don't fit the rack very well. And maybe at some time, if I decide to keep those, because they're nice and square, they hold a lot of gear, putting an aftermarket adjustable set of clamps on would work out well. At any rate, this concludes this video. So I hope you like it. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends about it. And I'll see you in another video.